Extreme heat is becoming the new normal in the UK. The Met Office says records for temperatures and rain are being broken more frequently.
The Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, says our way of life could be under threat from climate change, as the Met Office says extremes of heat and rainfall are becoming the norm. The Weather Service's annual State of the Climate report shows records for high temperatures and rain are more frequently being broken. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rowland.
We need to brace ourselves for more heat waves because the UK will be seeing many more very hot days and many fewer extremely cold nights, according to this latest assessment of how global warming is reshaping the country's climate. The UK is breaking heat and rainfall records increasingly frequently, the Met Office says. Last year, we had our second warmest February, our warmest May, our warmest spring, our fifth warmest December, and our fifth warmest winter since records began in 1884, and some of those records have already been surpassed this year. And the country is getting wetter too. Rainfall patterns are more variable, but last year saw the wettest winter half year in over 250 years, the Met Office says.
Every year that goes by is another upward step on this warming trajectory that our climate is on. The observations are providing hard evidence that our climate is different now to what it was just a decade or a couple of decades ago.
Inevitably, the UK's changing climate is having an impact on the natural world. At this forest research centre just outside London, they're exploring how our trees and forests can be made more resilient to the country's future climate. Many trees just can't cope at the moment.
After a drought, you can see reduced growth, so trees aren't growing as we would expect them to. If you look up in the canopy, you can see the leaves looking a little bit raggedy, and other signs of stress as you're walking through the woodland, and extreme examples, you might find that the trees have actually died.
Studies by Forest Research show one species that could do well are coastal redwoods from California. It means that in the decades to come, the world's tallest trees could become a common sight here in the UK. Justin Rowland, BBC News, the Alice Holt Research Centre.
And staying with the impact of the hot weather now, the extreme heat over the weekend is being described by the Met Office as the new normal for weather in the UK. A report from the National Weather Service says the climate is notably different to how it was just decades ago. Well, for many, the sunny, warm weather is welcome. But as the temperatures have risen, so have the risks linked to the heat. We will, of course, bring you a full weather forecast for you later in the programme. But first, to Anna O'Neill in Surrey.
Welcome to the Shack, or the beautiful Surrey Hills Adventure Company, where people here are soaking up the last of that latest early summer heat wave. Now, we're hearing in a report today that our summers in the UK are going to get hotter. And of course, with that, people tend to try to find bodies of water where they can have a swim and cool down. So a lot of people might come to a managed place like this, but some people, of course, don't, and they swim in open rivers or reservoirs where it's not quite so safe. Well, with me is Scott Innes, also known as Skip. Hello, Skip.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Gorgeous place you've got here.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what goes on at the Shack.
Okay, well, the history of the place is that this is an old sand quarry that was quarried for about 100 years. And about 10 years ago, I got into conversations with the landowner, and he was looking at a way of setting up, using it in a different way. And that's my background. So we decided to push forward and set up the Surrey Hills Adventure Company with a water element and create an open water swimming environment and paddling environment for people that can come, that's well managed and looked after.
Well, you've got loads of paddle boarders here, I notice, and expecting quite a few swimmers later on.
Yeah.
That's all managed, of course. What advice would you give people that are looking to kind of cool off when it's really hot like this?
Well, there's a lot of advice we can give, but if you're in a wild environment, you've got to consider the environment you're in. So, for example, you spoke about rivers earlier. Rivers have a flow, so it's really important that you think about where you might be able to get in safely and also get out safely, where that river's going to take you. Or big, deep bodies of water like the big lake we've got here, where people maybe don't understand that when you put your hand in the top of a big body of water, it feels lovely and warm, but that's a thermo layer. And as soon as you plummet through that thermo layer, the temperature plummets as well, and the deeper the lake, the colder it is. And that's where cold water shock jumps in. So they jump in, go through the thermal layer, boom, into cold water shock, and that's what's really dangerous.
Well, the weather's about to change. Will people still be coming here later in the week? They don't mind about
Absolutely not. No. We've got a very committed community here, so we swim all through the winter, again, under some very stringent kind of safety procedures that we're not mad about, but we do kind of enforce them as best we can gently to keep people as safe as they can be and give them the knowledge of how to approach colder water and different environments to keep themselves safe.
Well, if you're not quite as hardy as this lot, then enjoy the rest of the summer while you can, because, as I say, the weather will be changing later in the week. And that's also because in this report that talks about the UK getting hotter, it also told us that it's going to be getting wetter too.
And windier.
Definitely.
Scott adding his weather forecast there to Anna O'Neill in Surrey.